All right then. Absolutely perfect. I think that this is live. Let me just check real quick. All right, we are live finally, and I hope that settings work this time. I hope everything doesn't screw up, and I'm gonna repeat myself over here. So the long story short is, if you're watching this stream from the future, I'm gonna do pretty much the same thing as yesterday. I'm gonna continue where I left off. I'm gonna start looking into a few trades that were taken by an alleged crypto millionaire, and this is not clickbait, by the way. There's a lot of background checking that I did into this guy, and I believe that he actually is what he is. And so this guy posts a bunch of his trades that he's taken in crypto, and what I'm trying to do over here is I'm trying to reverse engineer what he did in order to find out what he was potentially seeing and be able to look at that, find out exactly why he decided to get into the coins that he got into, because there's a lot of them over here. You can see that on this massive as list. There is so many crypto coins. I'm trying to figure out why exactly he chose what he chose and why he entered when he entered. So that's the gist of it. It's a bit of Sherlock Holmes, because while he does provide a lot of detail sometimes as to when he entered and what he entered, he doesn't always provide the entry price, which does influence the entry timing. He doesn't always provide the stop loss and take profits. He doesn't even always provide when he decided to exit. And when he does post these things, there's sometimes a time delay between 10 minutes to 10 hours. So I'm trying to figure out a lot of the bigger picture based on these small clues that he's dropped. So if there's any further questions, I'll probably answer them some other time, but I'm just going to start right now with the first coin that we have, which is Ton. He took this trade on June the 14th, 2024. Reported entry timing was 9:52 a.m., which is the candle over here. And we're going to mark the price over here, which is actually 780. So he declared his entry at 780. Okay, which I believe he entered over here. So this is 8:45. It's almost an hour. It's over an hour actually before his declared entry, but I don't believe that he entered when he entered over here or even here, because there's no reason for him to do that. So our friend Joe has a tendency to enter trades when they start, breaking out like this. So it's possible that he also entered here. You just put that in a blue arrow. Another possibility is at 8:05 a.m., but he definitely didn't do it here, because there's no real reason for him to have done that. And his stop loss over here was 726. So let me just mark that. It looks like the stop loss was just below the previous 30-minute 1 hour swing low. It's also below the 4 hour as well. So the reason why he chose this coin at this specific time, it looks like it was because of the trending 1 week over here. It's not a lot of data, but there's also this this 1 day which is trending, 4 hours trending, 1 hour and 30-minute are both trending. And the reason why I'm looking for this is because there's this other guy that I also have learned a couple of things from, and that guy explains how he decides to enter trades really well. He talks about wanting one day or 4 hour to be trending, or just both. And if that's okay, he starts looking for either 1 hour to 30 minute to be trending. And if one or both of those things is okay, That's when he decides to go look at the much lower time frame at 5 minutes, and he starts looking for a possibility to enter. Now the problem with that guy over there is that he is a very structured person. He's very clear on what he wants to see, as opposed to our friend, our crypto millionaire friend Joe over here, who doesn't seem to know what he's doing, but he can't, for the love of God, explain why exactly, when exactly he decides to take trades. He just is very vague about how market structure and things like that look great, that's why he entered, but that's not a really good explanation for especially if you don't know what you're doing, or even if you've been exposed to this quite a bit. It's not a very helpful explanation as to why he decided to do what he did at the time that he chose. So I'm trying to combine what the clear explanation guy has explained and apply it to our friend over here, because there's a lot of similarities that I noticed between the way that these two guys trade. One guy's problem is he doesn't explain what he chose, why he chose it, when he decided to enter, why he decided to enter there and then, but he does find really good opportunities. The other guy, when it does like this 1 day or 4 hour and then 1 hour or 30 minute and then the 5 minute thing, he has very clear explanations, but the problem with that is he has a very low win rate. So crypto friend here has a high win rate compared to that guy. Also doesn't have as, dare I say, anal criteria to enter trades. So you can see over here that it just looks like it was moving upwards and he decides to enter the trade, whereas the clear explanation guy, he looks for too much confluence between different factors. He looks for 3 different signs that he should get into a trade, which means that it's far less common that he finds a trade opportunity every single day, and that's a con, right? I do want to take trades on a daily basis, at least 1 trade a day if possible. So I'm just trying to mash up these two guys to see if I can hybridize their strategies, make sure that they work, and then be able to reproduce a better combination of those two things. So anyway, we have our take profit over here where he's decided 8.5 is his take profit, which is way up here. Can't even see it on the lower time frames. You can only see it on this 1 week chart. So let me just mark this right here. It looks like a new all-time high if that's his target. It doesn't look like price has moved anywhere beyond that in the past prior to this date in June. And what we're going to do here is try to figure out what he was seeing. I'm glad that this trade has a lot of information. He's provided details. He mentioned that he entered this trade because he liked the daily close, which actually happened here on this candle, right? So he liked the daily close and that's why he got in. He mentions that this is a high conviction trade, which is pretty much, you know, what I said a couple of minutes before this. This graph are all pointing upwards. Let me read some of my notes I've taken down from this guy. Alright, not sure if this will work because of how BTC is trading at the moment. So apparently BTC was trading pretty badly. Can I switch over to that to take a quick peek? I don't know if this time machine thing works. Oh, it does. Okay, so says that BTC is trading pretty badly over here. There looks like a fucking Siri is answering my shit right now for some strange reason. But we're gonna look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is trading near resistance. Yep. Okay. Right. That's what we have. I think this is a straightforward trade over here. I'm just writing this stuff down on my Microsoft Word off screen. So over here off of my screen, I have my Excel, I have my Microsoft Word, because I also like to journal all of this stuff in writing. So pretty much what I'm saying over here is what I'm writing down. Looks like he entered on the breakout. Let's check out this other graph over here. Gonna go replay, select the date. I'm gonna go back to that date too. 9:45. I was breaking out in both of those time frames. So this is the 15-minute chart over here. This is the same thing, 1 day and 1 hour. The reason why I have this separate layout is because that's it's what our Japanese guy who teaches, how to look at these trending pairs, right? And this is his kind of setup. He looks at one of those things, like the 1 hour, 1 day or 4 hour, and then he looks at the 1 hour / 30 minutes. So he swaps out these two graphs depending on which time frame is trending, and then he looks over here on the lower time frame. So I have both of these set up. I like this view over here because it just shows me everything. It gives me a bird's eye view of what's going on across all the time frames, which is helpful when you're trying to do Sherlock Holmes work that I'm doing over here. So I'm just going to save this over here. It's a pretty straightforward trade, this one. The reason why it took so long is because I was trying to explain in detail for the people who have no clue what the fuck these graphs I'm trying to show you, these charts, I'm trying to say. Alright, moving on, we have his exit, which was over 12 hours later. So we're gonna fast forward in time over here, look at what price action did for us. So it looks like it went up, it went down around his entry price. He held through that, and he held through that some more until it eventually broke back upwards. It almost came back down. Oh, it went down a lot at this time. Wow, that's a lot of holding. So says here on the June 15th, 10:09. So this candle over here, he says that let me just check my notes real quick here, because it looks possible that I missed out on one of the journal entries, just to make sure. It sounds like from these notes that he got out of the trade somewhere in between. I am not sure what this means. I have another point of data over here, another data point. I'm just gonna look at that real quick. Again, this is Sherlock Holmes, because he doesn't give all the information, and I'm just trying to piece together parts of the puzzle to figure out what he was seeing. So it says right here, wow, okay. This is so weird. 15th, June 15th, he mentions that he will sell the rest of ton if the 7.7 line breaks. Okay, so it looks like what he was trying to say over here was that he would sell, he would exit if 7.7 breaks. That's what I think it means. 7.7 was was all-time high prior to this. So he's hoping that because there was a resistance here, it would eventually turn into support. It does not seem that he exited here. Looks like he still stayed in. And 4 hours later, he talks about something else that is showing a lot of strength at 535, which is here. Here? Okay, here. So he says that he likes price action over here because of how it's performing. And he also mentions explicitly that he is still in. That's very important to know because that tells us that we are on the right track. So the next entry is actually extremely far away, so we're gonna actually fast forward through that via the calendar, because at 8:20, whew, he talks about how he sold, right? He talks about how he sold. So this is when he got out, allegedly. I think he got out here. He didn't get out on the time that he posted this. I think he got out here. So let me just mark that, because I think he doesn't post he doesn't talk about what price he gets out at usually, so I'm just here guessing. I'm just here guessing because that's the best we can do to understand. So what's interesting over here is that where is the arrow even? Wow, he got in here. So he got in here around this price. It went up, it went down, it went up, it went down, it went down, and it goes back up. Not as high as before, and then it goes all the way back down, and then it goes up, and it bounces around this area, and then around here is when he posted that he would be getting out. So it's uncertain to me if he had held on through this entire roller coaster, or if he got out somewhere in between. Like I said, there was a there's a near like that's a 96-hour window between when he entered and when he mentioned that he sold the rest. So it's a bit of a mystery over here. I personally, if I was him, I would have gotten out even here the second time it tried to go back down. So it's very clear that he took a loss in this as well. It's very clear. I'm going to mark it down as a presumed loss because, again, there was a roller coaster of a ride over here. It is unknown when exactly he exited. He could have exited, somewhere here and took a small break even after fees. He could have exited below this point and got out pretty much break even and eaten the fees. So let me just write that down. I'm gonna put this down here. Okay, so this one is not a very happy ending because we don't really have that much information as to when exactly he exited, and the problem is that it's such a long trade. Like, you see how many candles pass by at night. In the last 96 hours or so, there were so many opportunities that he could have gotten out, and it's unclear to me when exactly he got out. So it's a bit of a I'm not too happy with this little trade over here because it doesn't really teach us as much as I would have liked. So you can see how bad it got after this. I'm gonna turn it back in time just a little bit over here, and yeah, let me just actually turn it back in time here because that's when you got out. I'm going to save this. So the conclusion is we know what he did to enter the trade, but we don't know exactly when he exited and why he didn't exit if he actually got out around here. It's a mystery. We're gonna move on because the thing about this is that it's not very clear to me right now because this is something like the 40th trade that I've looked at from this guy, and I have a list of nearly 250. There's 250 trades that I have to review from this guy. So the more that I review these things, the more I will come back and realize that he might have done something some way that I am unable to see at this point in time. So with that, we're going to call this a case closed for now. We may revisit this in the future, but we're going to move on to the next coin over here, which is Solana. Solana on June 14th as well. So we're going to rewind our clock. We're going to go to Solana first. Go here. We're going to go here. And we are going to rewind the clock back to 11 p.m. Okay, so this is a pretty straightforward one because he mentioned that he got out pretty quickly. There was a couple of shorts that he did over here. There was a single point of exit. Just write this down over here before we start work on the chart. Because we're actually going to look at one other trade that happened around the same time. Actually, he declared it at the exact same time. So let's rewind over here to June 14th, 11 p.m. I'm going to do the same thing over here because June 14th. $11:06 was when he declared entry, and his entry price was 146. So we have two pieces of information that we can work off of over here. There's an entry, there's a stop loss, but there's no clear target. Not sure where he was aiming for here, but we're gonna first put what the entry was. 146 was actually way up here. So you can see over here that he makes declarations earlier than when. No, he declares his entry quite a bit after his actual entry point, which was here. So this was 11:05. Looks like he entered about 40 minutes before that at 10:25. Let me just write that down over here. And we're going to look at our trusty friends over here in the longer term, in the high medium time frame, and we can see over here that there was a clear support around when he decided to enter that was being broken at that point on the 30-minute, 1 hour, and also 4 hour. It was a bit less so on the 1 day chart. But we can, it's pretty clear why he entered on this trade, because 30-minute was trending down, 1 hour is trending down, 4 hours was trending down. The 1 day was a bit mixed, but if we were to follow our other trader, the Japanese guy, it wouldn't matter, because you would just look at the 4 hour chart over here and say, okay, it's downtrending, let me just look for confluence on the medium time frame, that's 1 hour or 30 minutes. In this case, we got confluence from both of those charts, which is actually excellent news. And I can move on to this 5-minute chart to look for an entry. This actually looks pretty textbook Japanese man in terms of entry. So it's very clear why Joe, our crypto millionaire, decided to enter this trade. Just write down some notes over here. All right, so we're gonna save this chart over here, just so I have a point of reference for the future. Okay, Solana. This is an open and shut kind of case. I like it. There's just 2 entries. There's not too much mystery surrounding. Ah, shoot! I forgot to put his stop loss line. That's what I'm missing. 151. I'm gonna save this again. It looks like 151 was, I don't know. It's not really a 30-minute resistance. It's not really a 1 hour resistance either, unless you count this area over here as a resistance. I guess it was kind of a resistance, but it's a not so clear one. So let me just put here, stop loss was on prior known 1 hour resistance. Perfect. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna save this as well. Higher time frame. This is a 15-minute chart that I'm trying to save. Like it, I know I'm duplicating the one day 1 hour, but what I'm looking for is this right side over here. That's what I'm saving this thing for. 5:35. So we're gonna go forwards in time, but we're also gonna go backwards in time after this when we move to the next trade. So we're gonna look at what made him decide to exit over here. It looks like he might have exited with a small profit. Yeah, it looks like he exited at a small profit because of this over here. So 146, let me just look at what the difference is. 146 minus 144.58, assuming that's where he got out at. Actually, it would have been 144. It is about 2. So there was about a 5% win that he got out of this, like a really tiny win. So let me just write that down. It's interesting because this is a pretty fast cut from this guy. Like if you compare it to the previous trade that we just looked at, the ton trade, he waited 96 hours before reporting his exit. So who knows how long he was in that trade, but in this case, I like it. He was in there for less than 6 hours, and it's kind of clear as to why. So he also didn't like Bitcoin. Let me just look at Bitcoin over here. He didn't like the fact that it was holding this area over here. So the fact that Bitcoin just bounced off this as support, which is funny because this is where the Kumo, which is the cloud, is on the 1 day, and it just bounced right off the tip of the cloud over here, and it looks like it was going back upwards. So we're gonna save this exit. Do I have an exit price? Every time I look at these things, I pray that there is an exit price that he gives, but it's almost never that he does that. No, he does not. So let me just mark this over here. He declared exit, but it's not really known when he got out. He probably got out about here. Probably got out here, is my guess. Again, there's no way that we'll probably ever know, which is the whole reason why I'm doing this live stream. Trying to reverse engineer what this guy was seeing, what he was doing, so that in the future I will be able to do the same thing. So we're gonna save this, save this. I'm gonna save this as well. We're gonna fast forward. Can I fast forward? Perfect. Gonna save this. It's in and out. I think this one's easy to understand. I like it. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start marking these trades over here on my Word document, whether I understand these or not. This is pretty clear. The previous trade, it wasn't. Trying to write down some more notes before I move on to the next trade. What time did we start on this? We took about 12 minutes to complete this review, which is nice. How much leverage did he take on this? 5. Okay, so I think he still got, what is this? 1.5% times. He still got a decent profit from this. I think he got about 7% from this trade, despite it not going down. He still managed to get a little bit of money before he cut this trade. So I'm going to mark that as a win in his book, and I'm going to move on to the next pair. I'm also going to write down the timestamp here for our future viewers. And the next trade is going to be PEPE. PEPE, taken on June 14th, 2024, is the next trade we're going to investigate and reverse engineer. Where is PEPE? PEPE is here. I'm going to move my other chart over here so I can see the 15-minute as well over here. I'm going to take off all of these lines from before. I don't know what these lines are for. Are these my previous trades or what? I need to be more organized next time. I'm going to mark this as I'm going to clean this up sometime in the future, but we're going to look at what he was seeing to enter this trade. So we're going to rewind time, like I said just now, because we're now at June 15th, 2024, and he declared entry on this trade at the same time as the previous trade, which was a little past 11 p.m. over here. And let me check my notes real quick what his entry price was. His entry price was 0.0117. I'm going to mark that. Okay. I think this is a pretty similar trade as the one before this, because he declares entry here. He enters here because that's the only time when it was at 0.117. He has a stop loss, which we're going to mark before we forget again, at 0.121. I'm going to save this under June 14, 2024 for Joe. I'm going to put this in my notes. Pretty similar in the previous trade. So 30-minute was downtrending, 1 hour was downtrending, 4 hours was downtrending. 1 day wasn't really downtrending, but it did, have this little what someone that I know would call the dingleberry. It had a small dingleberry over here, which is a sign that it would probably keep going downwards. So similar to before. save my notes. I think this one's going to be pretty clear as well, so I'm going to mark it as such. The stop loss over here is interesting because there's no clear pattern as to why he put his stop loss here. The only reason I can imagine it is, actually maybe I do see it. It looks like he set the stop loss based on this very close 4-hour resistance, because I don't see anything here, I don't see anything here, I don't see anything here. This is maybe it. Maybe his stop loss was also the 1-day support, which he hoped would turn into resistance. So let me just type that down in my notes as well. So pretty much the same thing that I just said, but in written form, so I can refer to my notes one day if I need to, and not have to search through a freaking 2-hour long live stream. So it's a pretty fresh resistance, and the reason and the only reason why I can think of this is because he wanted a very low risk percentage over here. Like, he was betting on it going down, otherwise he would probably cut pretty quickly. I would guess around here, right? A lot of these guys, they set stop losses at a point that is higher or lower than the actual point that they would cut the trade if it doesn't go their way. Let's look at what his no, he doesn't talk about confidence of this trade working out. Sometimes he does, but I don't find it very reliable. Like, for example, the ton trade that happened just now, he was very confident that it would work out, but it did not. So sometimes he rates his confidence level for the trades that he takes, but this is not one of the trades where he has mentioned that. Unfortunate. All right, so oh, this is an interesting one because the next update happened a little past 1 a.m. A little past 1 a.m. And he mentions here that it was actually at prior all-time highs, which is interesting because we're gonna mark that with a line, because otherwise we would not be able to see it. So I'm gonna mark a purple line here because it's noteworthy. Alright, so it's interesting because we can actually combine this little mystery. Let me just save this first, by the way. I'll save it. It's just like a video game. Gotta save your progress before you lose your progress. So it's interesting that at the same time that he took this trade, he was also in Solana, which we just looked at, and he was happy that it broke 143 over here. All right, so it came here, tried to break through it, couldn't do it, bounced back up, came back down, bounced back up, and then finally pierced the 140. Oh no, that's over here. So it kind of did this, tried to pierce it, couldn't do it, bounced back up, try to pierce it again, and then it happens. So this has happened at this point, and then it retests 143 as resistance now after coming from above. So it basically turned support at 143 into resistance at 143. So it looked like it was going to bounce back lower, but because we just reviewed this trade, we know it actually went back up. But nobody would have known this at this point, so it's noteworthy because he provided this update over here, whereas the Solana just had two updates, one at entry, one at exit. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap this shit up over here, because it's a straightforward case again. So this is when he declared exit. So it's very likely over here as well that he got out before his declared exit. Actually, it's almost definitely that he got out. I'm just going to mark it here because that's I'm guessing that's the time that he got out. Again, he didn't really like that Bitcoin bounced back up over here, which happened at 1 a.m. Confirmed the bounce at 3 a.m. So I'm gonna write that down as well because it's a good clue as to when he got out. What am I doing here? Let me just look at Bitcoin again because I sense that he sometimes uses 1 hour as a confirmation. Because it bounced off this point, it closed above, it tried to bounce, push lower, but it kept bouncing off this line. Eventually closed above this resistance that it was also bouncing off, so it was channeling for a while, and then it started going up. And this was confirmed at a little past 4 a.m. Yeah. So this guy closed at 5 a.m. Closed at 5 a.m. So it's actually very likely that he got out around here. Alright, we're gonna save this. Did I... Wait a second. Wait a second, did I not save this? Oh shit, I did not. Apparently I did not. I'm gonna save this first as PEPE bus. PEPE bus. It's a kind of bus. Then we go fast forward to that, what was it? 110 update? Okay. He posted this over here. Seriously, there's too many. Too many files that I'm saving, but it's gonna be worth it at some point. So he goes all the way here, declares exit, backup bar. So this exit is also pretty clear because it's pretty similar to what it was before. It was almost identical to the previous pair that we looked at, which was Solana. Almost identical. I'm going to write down some notes here before I move on. Probably should save that with not all caps. So he got in here, it went down, went back up, and it started going way back up. From this BTC bounce over here, it does look like he exited with a decent profit. It was probably a 1% move as well over here. It looked like a 1% or 0.5%. It looks like a 0.5%. 0.5% on 6x leverage. Just look up. Can't do math. Yeah, so that's not 0.5%, is it? It's like 5%? 5%. Okay, so this was also about 5%. Huh. So I would say he exited with So that's still a decent move, I think. Because if he cut because of Bitcoin over here, it closed unfavorably at 3 on the 30-minute, and then at 5 a.m. On the 1 hour. So assuming that he closed right after that happened of Bitcoin, this would have been his exit. He wouldn't have got out, anywhere on this massive jump up over here. And what that means is, even if he did, exit sometime here, this would have been like a 2 to 5% move for him. So 2 to 5% move on 6x leverage is still 12 to 30% on his trade, which is not a banger by any means. But a lot of people would love that kind of move. It's just that he's looking for a much bigger move than 12 to 30%. All right, so we're gonna do one more trade review after the short intermission. I'm gonna do a short intermission because I've been talking non-stop, and I'll be back in a minute. Alright, I am back. Gonna go do this last trade review for today, for this session. We have Bitcoin, which is something that our friend also shorted at 60. Where is it? 66K? Wait, what? I don't even have a time for this. He shorted 66K when it was 66K, but that doesn't make any sense. So he didn't enter this trade at the okay, now it makes sense, because he declared his entry he declared his entry hella late, which is here. So this trade was taken at about midnight. So we're just gonna mark that here. 66K was when he declared his entry. And I'm gonna guess that he took it on the way down on this guy. So we're gonna put this here. We're gonna create a group for Joe, and we're gonna make an entry in Microsoft Word for these things. Let's put this here. Okay, so we have an entry price which was here. I don't think that he's intentionally done this, because he mentioned that he was on I think was that on a plane or something. So he entered here 66k with a stop loss. It's, oh man, spacebar. Stop loss here. I'm trying to fiddle my hotkeys here. 67.4k, which was the 30-minute high, 1 hour resistance, and 4 hour resistance as well. So we're gonna do that. So it's very similar again to the Solana trade and the PEPE trade that we just looked at in today's session, because 30-minute is down, 1 hour is trending down, 4 hours trending down. 1 day is not so favorable per the lovely Japanese indicator, Ichimoku, but on the 1 week it's also the same thing. But I mean, again, this guy would have chosen 4 hour if was looking at it, and then from there look at 1 hour, 30-minute, try to look for confluence from one of them, and in this case confluence happened on both of them, which is always a plus. That's when he entered, or why he chose to enter, more like it. So just write that down as well. I think we're going to be very clear on this trade. So this is basically the mother of the 2 other trades that we looked at today, because this is Bitcoin itself. He mentioned Bitcoin bouncing off 65k and not liking that. So we've already got clues as to why he got into this trade and what happens next. I'm gonna save this. Save game before you lose progress, or before you have to go back and rewind the charts like a fool. And we're gonna save game here on the on the chart with a 15-minute time frame. Save. I save this, and next update that we have is actually also at 5 something a.m. 5:30 a.m. It's also when the price started floating up again. So again, it's likely that he exited because he didn't like the bounce off the 65k mark on the candle close of the 1 hour chart, or the candle close of the 30-minute chart. Actually, so let me just put that down here. It's an open and shut case again. Perfect. So we have an exit over here. So this is an open and shut case as well. Very clear exit. He's mentioned the reasons why. And it's the same reason that he got out of the previous two trades, except unlike the previous two trades, it doesn't have any dependency on anything else because this is literally Bitcoin. And we're done. This is the fastest out of the bunch. Just took a little under 10 minutes. And we've reviewed 4 different trades. Admittedly, 3 of those trades were related, but hey, who's counting? So what we've learned today is, again, we're constantly reinforcing the fact that he follows the trend a lot, much like the other guy, and these indicators show that he's pretty much using, although he's not actually using these indicators, it pretty much shows that he's seeing the same thing as the other guy, the Japanese guy, because whenever he gets into those trades, all of these indicators are pointing in the same direction. This is exactly how the Japanese guy would have taken it. The only thing is, we're trying to look for what he's doing on the 5-minute, on the entry timing, because that's not as clear to me. I can see why he's chosen the pairs based on what's happening on the medium time frame and higher time frames. Still a mystery how he decides to get in on these lower time frames. In the case of like BTC, Solana, and PEPE in the last 3 trades, it's very clear because there's no other reason why he would have gotten in. But if we were to look at TON again, where's TON? It's the one with the color. Like, the reason why he entered wasn't so clear because, again, there's multiple possible entry points over here, and my guess was that it's just kind of breaking up. But if it's just breaking out like this, is that really the only reason to get in, or is there some other thing that you would look for? Why would you hold through this? So this is still an unsolved part of the mystery that we will be looking into in different shapes and forms as we move forward in the future and look at future trades. Let me just try to get my, where's that? Okay. With these 3, with the last 3 trades over here, I think things are extremely clear, which is pleasant because this is not always the case. We don't always get a clear set of trades to review, especially not 3 in a row. Okay, let me just write these things down in my notes. So we're actually done for the day. there's probably gonna be people clicking X already at this point as I put my notes in. Okay, this is it. So I'm just going to look at my checklist over here and talk about what we're going to do in the next live stream where we're investigating our multi-millionaire friends trades. We'll be looking at BTC again, we'll be looking at Solana again. In fact, we'll be looking at these two guys again for the next 3 trades, and then there's going to be a bunch of other trades. I think it's nice because there's actually clear entry points ahead. Things start becoming very murky in about 150 trades or so. So like the last 50 trades plus on my list are going to rely on a lot of homework that we've done over here in this session, the last session, in the past, and also in between, because I have a lot of entry points, stop losses, and take profit points for a lot of these trades, but at some point they start disappearing, and the guy's just like, I long this, I short this. And we're going to have to make a lot of guesswork over there as to what he was seeing, just really based on the charts. So that's going to be fun. No more 10-minute reviews of each trade. It's probably going to take quite a bit longer. And I still look forward to that challenge. All right, I'm going to do my other stuff to do at this point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream, hoping that whoever's watching or might watch in the future might have learned something, and I will see you in the next video.